Hang on.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Now we're good.
Hey, we say it every week. People love to go out to eat, but do they ever think what happens behind the kitchen doors? Well, we're going to bring in some gentlemen that they've opened a few of those doors, and maybe they can tell us what's happening back there. Starting with Chef Pascal. Welcome, sir.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be here again. I have very special guest
Oh,
today.
can I just gush for a moment here?
You already start taking over.
You tell me all the time, all these big people you know and whether you knew and you're working the day. I'm like, go, yeah. Come on, he's French.
Today's the day.
Today's the day. You're delivering here today, so bring in your guest.
Yeah, and Doug Cavanaugh, who is my guest today, is the co-founder of the Ruby's Diners. All right, and we'll talk about that when he first had his first one, what was behind the concept and things like that. But your diners are iconic places. And
Certainly for me. I love going there. It's a fixture here in Orange County, and I know they're in multiple states. They've expanded now.
Yeah.
They're not just locally.
yeah, well, you had up to what 43 locations.
Yeah,
at one point?
43 was the max. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's all kind of tip or complication to make sure you can stay open, keep each places going, but
Yeah.
there's also some very valuable technique on logistics to make it happen.
But before we get into that, I heard a story that we got to put out there. Before, just around getting around the air, I said, well, how
Okay.
did you guys know each other? And you said, oh, I used to go to Pascal's restaurant. He catered your wedding.
That's
Yes.
correct.
Why wouldn't Ruby's Diners cater your wedding? Or was that...
Well, that was my wife's choice. Of course. She wanted a top grade, and I don't blame her.
There's good taste. Yeah.
Excellent taste. So I'll share a little funny story. So we were living in Emerald Bay at the time, and I was going to pop the question. And I popped the question, and I had a wine cellar. And we went down to the wine cellar to enjoy a glass of wine. And I opened the door to the wine cellar, and it's 100 degrees.
Oh no.
The cooler had converted to a heater,
Oh.
and there was literally wine dripping.
Oh.
So Julie was very
The
compassionate.
collection's going down the
Right.
drain
And she
here.
said, "Oh, we don't. You know, I did this actually before I asked her to marry me." So I said, "Oh no, it's okay. We'll just keep going."
We'll just drink it all.
Yeah, right. So then I popped the question, and she thankfully said yes, and we headed off to Pascal's, our favorite restaurant, everybody's favorite restaurant, and had an amazing meal and had a great celebration there. And then, of course, a year later, Pascal led the charge. We had a fabulous we got married in Hawaii. We came back for a reception, and Pascal led the charge on creating this fabulous collection of restaurants that we had cater the wedding, and it was just amazing. And especially what you provided. So
No,
Thank you.
is that a bad joke? Though, but you would picture, I mean, Ruby's restaurant, iconic place. So you'd think there'd be girls dressed up in
oh, we had that.
50s
We had that
outfits and-
too. We did.
Yeah.
We had burgers, of
But
course.
I have to say, beside that, what a little bit before, we frequently met for a gourmet food organization,
Shenda
Saint
Rotisserie.
Otissa,
Really? Okay.
who was actually since I still have friends that are still in the business, and we used to have monthly meals together in the restaurant.
Oh, we
all
had
of us. And
Now,
so many
I don't
great
want to offend
events.
your guest right off the bat, but I wouldn't assume that the owner or co-founder of Ruby's Diners would be in a club like that. You'd be focusing more on
Well,
fast food, fun food,
that-
casual food.
That's one of the main reason it's been successful.
Yeah. I think so.
Because even though it's a diner, it's different, but diner is not a fast food. I mean, Diner for me is like a French bistro. It's
Really? Okay.
It's
That's
like
an interesting take on it.
I see it as
Neighborhood.
on big highway in France as a truck stop.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, French love U.S. of course, and they especially love the west part of U.S. because we're still looking for why there was the gold rush.
How you missed it.
I miss it. And so we always go. The tourists from France or other country have a routine. They go from Los Angeles, go to, of course to Anaheim, and then they go to Grand Canyon.
The Grand
And
Canyon.
also-
yeah. Things you can't see in France, right? The
Yeah,
Grand
and then they a lot of them take Route 66.
Yeah.
And Route 66 is a little bit like your
Oh,
film, your
right.
concept.
It's Route 66 brought back to life here. I mean,
And
and to
actually,
celebrate.
personally, as a food guy, and I wanted to experience the Route 66 and find some diner along the road.
Is there anything
way.
comparable in France? I'm sorry, we're getting off the topic here, but I haven't traveled around France or Europe. Do they have little roadside cafes, diners like they do in the West
Oh yeah,
here?
oh yeah, totally. They
Yeah.
have either it used to be called auberge. This is where people who were riding horses used to stop so they can have
Clearly, yeah.
the horses rest.
Right.
And then, but that's thing changed.
Yeah.
Now they have trucks and cars, and we just
Because that was the myth of the mother highway, from Chicago to LA. It brought
Yeah.
so many people out after the Depression, and as West Coast started to grow, and so many people just found their way, and suddenly we had cars and we had roads, and we could travel like the old pioneers did in horses
right.
and wagons and stuff.
But-
And so they had to stop along the way. Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
How did it happen?
Okay, well, I used to live on Balboa Island, and I would, back in my younger days, I would run up and down the peninsula, and I always would notice this little building on the end of the pier, and I'd run out there, and it was about ready to fall over. And so finally, I approached the city and said, hey, what if we would do a remodel there, bring it back to its glory? Because what happened on the coast of California in 1939, a very big storm came.
Wasn't it like a tackle truck?
It was almost like a hurricane, and it knocked all the piers down. So if you look at the intrinsic architecture of these buildings, they were built in 1940. The Malibu Pier, you look at those buildings, and the Balboa Pier, they all had this
San
beautiful
Clemente
streamlined
Pier, or
modern,
Huntington Pier. Yeah.
yeah, streamlined modern design. So I'm a big fan of that architecture in that time period. So I approached the city, and the city manager, Bob Wynn, a great guy, said, hey, you know, you're a little young and you don't have any experience. So why don't you go get some and come talk to me? So I went off, of all places, I opened a restaurant on Nantucket Island.
Oh, another great place.
Yeah,
Really?
I bought 9 acres of oceanfront and a restaurant on the very eastern tip of Nantucket in a little town called Sconset. And I had a partner, and she was kind of the food side of it. I was the construction guy.
The best scallops there.
Right, and we opened the Summer House in 1980,
Oh,
and it
wow.
was just that was
I
where I
didn't know
got
that.
my MBA in the restaurant business. So I had 2 years there, and luckily it became very successful. My family wanted me to come back, so I sold after 2 years. Then I came back to meet the city manager, and I said, "Okay, I've got all this experience now. Will you agree to help me?" And he goes, "Yeah, You did what I asked you to do, so we're gonna back you in front of the city council." So he was very helpful.
So the city owned the property?
city owns the property. Yeah, they own
And,
the piers.
So that shop wasn't not a tackle shop at that time?
At the time, it was a gigantic redwood tub, probably about 12 feet in diameter, that held the sardines.
Ah, there you go.
Right. So we had to tear all of that out.
I have to
And-
say on the side note,
So
there's a lot of mackerel there.
Yeah.
And mostly the fish you catch
this-
are mackerel.
not your cat won't like mackerel too
No.
much. So, But
I
anyway,
don't
so
know
we,
if I know what a mackerel tastes like. Even I know that they're out
Right.
there.
It's not that bad. No.
if you know how to cook it.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so we got the contract and we brought the building back to its absolute original condition. I studied everything I could find on diners. Now, we were a 1940s
So
diner
why you wanted to do a diner?
because of the building. The building was the inspiration. The classic 1940s, streamlined, modern New York World's
It had
Fair.
nothing to do
Right.
with the TV show Alice.
No, that was, I think that was after.
That was
I
after.
think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I
I've forgotten
also,
that show.
I
I
grew
love
up,
that show.
my godfather was in the restaurant business in Los Angeles at a restaurant called Pan's, P-A-N-N-S. Now that,
Oh, that was a big chain too. Was
yeah,
that,
that,
several? Yeah.
this was one of those googie style restaurants.
Yeah.
And as a kid, my godfather would let me hang
Go
out.
Google Googie for all of you. That was a
Yeah.
design of the like 30s
Right.
or 40s. Yeah.
And anyway, so I got my kind of love and interest in the restaurant business. So when I came back to do Ruby's, I really wanted to focus on it being a 1940s diner and not a 1950s diner, because I wanted it to be swing, big band.
Oh,
You know,
actually, we
yeah.
can talk about that.
I
but-
didn't want rock and
yeah,
roll,
yeah,
and because it was
no.
a very different era, very different vibe.
Because that's the diners I grew up. The diners, the true, the Mel's
Right.
Diner in American Graffiti. That kind of
That's a
pull-up diner
Right.
with a
That's a
outdoor
40s,
service.
Yeah, and
That's the 50s. Yeah.
yeah, and there was such an inherent beauty to streamlined modern design. So that's what we did. So we were well over budget. We were well over time, and we opened it up on December 7th, 1982. And our first day's revenues was $63. And we were both going, oh my gosh, what happened?
and
And why the name Ruby?
That's my mom.
Okay, there you go.
Ruby she was an amazing mom, and she was a cheerleader at Fremont High School in Los Angeles. And her cheerleading picture, I morphed into the Ruby's character. So what you see on the Ruby's menu is actually
Oh,
That must
my
be a
mom.
theme. Didn't Don Callender name it after his
He
mother?
did, yeah.
Maurice
Yeah,
Callender,
yeah,
his
yeah.
mother too.
Another a great food guy, by the way, Don.
And did she have a chance to see your
Oh
restaurant?
yeah, no, she lived to 94.
Oh wow.
And she was, whenever we had anniversary or an event, she was our mascot, and she was.
More than that, I know you used the floats at the Pasadena Parade.
Yeah, we had a float in the Rose
Oh, my
Parade
goodness.
Yeah.
4 years in a row,
Yeah.
and she was always, of course, the
Yeah.
figurehead of the float.
Yeah, yeah. Man.
But she was just
was
just amazing.
raving.
So there was a an authenticity about the brand because of her. And now she didn't cook. It wasn't.
Oh no way!
No,
Wasn't
no,
mom's
Really?
recipe.
It wasn't mom's
I was going to ask
No,
you.
she was just.
Not even a grilled cheese sandwich or something?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that my godfather, who owned Pan's Restaurant in Los Angeles, taught me hamburgers. Now, there's not a tremendous amount of science to it, but we were the very original.
I differentiate. I think there is something that makes
well,
a really good hamburger.
We were squash and burgers before.
You are too American.
Well, and the idea if you smash it down, that was one thing, and how
Yeah.
much fat content you have
Yeah,
in it.
you
and-
got to have at least 20% fat to make it work.
exactly.
And we were the very first of a chain to squash the burger. So we were squashing burgers long before squash burger.
Which they now call smash burgers.
Smash burger, right?
Everybody-
And it's the seasoning and the doneness and the ratio between bun, meat, cheese,
Yeah.
and lettuce. It's critical
See,
Yeah, yeah.
there
because
it
you
is.
could go to so many restaurants and you can get an overwhelming bun which dilutes everything else.
Yeah, and it's more television fine dining, same thing. In one bite, you want to have the whole experience.
Exactly.
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 And the last bite too.
Right.
No.
And we were truly obsessed with quality. And of course, our other claim to fame was the milkshake. And
That's what I love. I go for
Yeah.
the milkshakes. You
And
guys have.
you eat milkshake on floats too, huh?
oh, we did that and floats, but it was really the milkshakes that were.
I've
the
never
most-
been a float fan. I like milkshakes. I don't
Yeah.
know what the big thing. What I love about theirs, and I'll tell you another thing. I don't know why they do this. Everybody wants to feel like they got value, right? So it's like if you go someplace and they make something, a milkshake, there's always a little bit left over, and they usually throw it away.
That's right. Everybody loved the tin.
The
There's no-
tin, they
the
would
tin.
give you that little, and you just felt so special.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I
No,
got
it was.
I got a little extra.
Yeah.
It was a great
bonus.
value add. So we went along for the first year, and we had a Our first year was good.
You didn't mention that a few days after you opened, there was a big storm at the pier.
Yeah,
You
almost.
almost lost it.
Yeah, we almost lost it
Oh.
like the first week
Yeah.
after we opened. And sadly, my father passed away that week, so it was like Armageddon had hit.
Wow.
But luckily we survived. And the next big thing was, at the time, there was a very famous restaurant critic in Southern California named Elmer Dills.
Elmer
Dills,
Dills
yes.
from
Elmer Dills.
Channel
Yeah.
7.
Right. So every
Dixon.
week he would feature a different cuisine,
Yeah.
and there were 5 restaurants, and it would be kind of a countdown.
Yeah.
And whoever showed up on Friday was the winner.
Yeah, yeah.
So we were in the group, and it comes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's okay, we got a 50-50 chance, and on Friday, sure, we won. The next day, the line down the pier was halfway down the pier.
No way.
Well,
So
so
that-
KABC, and he was huge.
When that
Yeah,
was
right.
before cell phones, before social media,
Yeah.
that was the power of TV then.
Yeah, big audience.
Yeah, and so that from that point we shot. It was just the beginning of the ramp up. So we had a good 2 years, and then I said, well, this is working pretty good. So let's test the brand in suburbia. So we found a location on Lake Mission Viejo
Okay.
and built number 2.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that.
And that was another. It did more than the pier initially, which was.
And
we
why
were-
does it tap into that nostalgia of happy days, of
Yeah.
times gone by?
so it's a-
America's simpler, and
You were ahead of your time, of our time, because you actually developed a concept. It was not just a diner; it's a diner with a concept.
Right.
The music, the decor,
Right.
yeah, memorabilia. I'm sure you collect
Right.
all these signs, the Coca-Cola sign, everything.
We
you
had
know.
all original Coca-Cola
and
posters.
can I
Yeah,
say another thing they do in all these that always sticks to me to this day because I'm a train buff?
Yeah,
They put a train. They had a little train
Yeah.
around. I don't know if they
That-
all had it or just the ones I've been to, but there's
that-
little
You
trains.
can
Yeah.
say a choo-choo train.
yeah. That started in Mission Viejo at number
Yeah,
2,
yeah,
and that kept going with almost every location.
Yeah.
And a bumper car. We had to have a bumper car
Yeah.
in the
Well,
restaurant.
Or in South Laguna, actually, you have also a collection of
Right.
antique cars. You know.
Exactly. So how that became is that the city had a requirement when you built a building to have art in public places. So they wanted us to put up this very inappropriate piece of art which had no relevance to our streamlined modern building.
Yeah.
So I went to the city council and I say, these are beautiful cars of American classic art. And they bought it. And they allowed us to put the cars as the art.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that worked out.
So it was more than just, hey, this is be a not fun business, and it'll be fun. We'll cook some burgers at the pier. You saw it as saving a style of architecture, of restoring it back to what it was, and you had a clear focus. There weren't a lot of those kinds of themes.
Yeah.
Stuff
No,
out there.
because
And you-
diners faded.
yeah.
Because diners got a
Badly.
bad rap, and
Yeah.
they kind of declined,
Okay.
and they weren't known for great food. So we were one of the first to bring it back to a new day, and we were obsessed about quality. We were obsessed about every ingredient, from making all of our own salad dressings and making the best quality cheese, the best buns, great
Which
meat.
is
So-
not what you associated with diners. Diners were
Yeah.
the cheap stuff.
Right,
The
so-
Well,
less-
yeah, some
Quick
diners
food.
supposed to be
Yeah.
better than coffee shops.
Yeah.
You know, and definitely you are not a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And, so
We didn't initially have breakfast, but we added that about 6 months after we opened, and that was as successful.
especially on the weekend.
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
it was
it was
tremendous.
packed. But it's a place that almost was like a Sunday brunch.
Yeah,
Because even on Sunday, because actually the vision that I see why it was so successful, it's a place where kids can find food they like, and older people can eat the food because it's
Right.
soft food. You need to have a knife on the floor,
yeah,
and also the music.
right,
So there's a little bit of nostalgia for the other crowd.
right.
And
And in those days, there were a lot of people still alive that experienced the swing and big band era.
yeah,
Exactly.
So
yeah.
they'd come in and say, "Wow, this is my place."
Yeah.
you know?
And so even on the weekends, I don't know if that's still happening. You even had a little jazz music on the upper floor. On
Did
the
you ever,
roof.
I never saw Ruby's. I mean,
Uh,
No,
Ruby's with music.
always,
Yeah.
for music, we always stayed true to 40s big band
yeah,
and
yeah,
swing.
yeah.
But so we had number one and we had number two. And then I said, well, gosh, if we can do something like this, let's do a dinner house and a nightclub with live entertainment. So we built Bubbles Balboa Club
Oh, I remember that.
on the
Yeah.
peninsula. And that was,
Way down to
oh
the-
my gosh, that was one of the most enjoyable projects I
Very, very, very close by to the ferry there.
Right.
The ferry comes across.
So we bought an old building, tore it down, and built a 1930s, classic supper club. And what a hoot that was. We had a great young chef, Bill Barber,
Yeah.
who
yeah,
went on to
all right.
become the lead chef at Orange Coast College. And we had the Don Miller Big Band, we had the Ink Spots, we had the Mills Brothers.
Oh my!
It was amazing. Now,
What years was this?
85.
Okay,
And
that was before I was down
went,
here.
It went great until the city decided to close the peninsula on Friday and Saturday
There
nights
was no more traffic.
because of the cruising. So we lost all of our business. But then I got a call one day from Henry Sigerstrom, and he said, "Well, we really like the Ruby's concept, and we're building a new addition to the mall called Crystal Court, and we'd love to see if you could do a Ruby's there." And I said, Mr. Segerstrom, that's a great idea, but we don't have any money.
Yeah.
And he goes, I got money. So,
Yeah, he was like
so
that. He's
yeah,
amazing.
so we partnered with he and his family and built the Ruby's you see to this day, it's still there and does extremely well.
I hear so many stories of Henry Segerstrom walking around making deals. I mean, to us now, he's an iconic figure that was one of the founders of Orange County, really modern Orange County.
Yeah.
And had a vision to take bean fields and turn them into South Coast Plaza and all this stuff.
And just a lovely man, and his son, Anton, just a great family.
They are great landlords. I'm sorry.
I've heard lots of great stories about
Royal
this
people,
guy. Yeah.
landlords, and
Yeah,
family.
and that again, that was they're coming up on. They opened in
The 60s or something?
1987. So next year will
Oh,
be.
that one, yeah.
I
40
wanted
years.
to ask you before I forget. Did you almost went to open a Ruby's in France at the downtown Disney Paris?
Yeah. So in 1992, we got a call from Disney saying, "Would you want to be?" They called it their shadow restaurant. So we sent 20 team members along with my head of operations, and we opened Annette's Diner, which was basically a different name with the same menu. So we brought in the Ruby's menu.
Did Leah Marshall?
Leah Marshall,
Yeah,
yes, we were worked with Leah Marshall, and that was a great experience.
Just say, Leah Marshall was the operation director of South Coast Plaza just
Oh,
before.
okay, I didn't
and
know
then
the
she
name.
opened up the dining of the Paris Disney.
Okay.
And that is how I got into the Shen.
Yeah,
Leah sponsored
exactly.
me for the Shen.
Yes, wonderful.
Yeah, but we did that, and that was a great experience to bring.
So I got to stop you for 1 second, because a lot of people listen are students as a chef now at Saddleback Culinary Institute, or people like that want to get into the business. Can you take a building today and afford to rehab it or tear it down like you did on the Balboa Peninsula and start over and do it? Or is that are those days gone? Too expensive, too much money, can't do it.
Yeah, I think from scratch is pretty much gone unless you've got an established brand that you've built over the years and you can get the appropriate partnerships and financing. But if you're just starting out, it's really difficult. I think the really only practical way is to find a restaurant that perhaps hasn't made it.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure that it hasn't made it for reasons other than location.
Right.
But that restaurant was not.
Yeah.
But I have to say, and because I find out you are a builder already, you're like a contractor.
Yeah. So,
you
that
have-
was my
You have
first.
some construction
Yeah,
knowledge.
that was my first life. And my partner, Ralph, he had been in construction as well. So together,
Oh, by the way, Ralph and Mr. Cavanaugh were buddies in high school.
Yeah, junior high
No,
school.
that's junior high school.
Junior high
That
school.
far back.
They
Yeah.
probably say, maybe we should open a restaurant one day.
So I'll share a brief story on that. So Ralph and I became friends working on our cars. So my parents were very smart. Their garage had 3 components. It had a ping pong table, it had a pinball machine, and a floor jack, which means everybody wanted to be there. So Ralph and I
hang out at your house so they could watch what you're doing.
That's
yeah.
right. So my parents always knew where I was, but that's where Ralph and I became friends. And then when I had the idea for Ruby's, I brought all my buddies into my house in Balboa Island, and out of the 5 guys, Ralph was the only guy who said, "Hey, yeah, it sounds pretty good."
Really?
The rest of the guys thought I was nuts.
Because why? Because restaurants are nuts, or a diner was nuts?
I had no restaurant
But
experience.
also
to be
the
honest.
location.
Yeah,
Look, when you design a restaurant, especially who was not a restaurant before, like you just said, you have to do especially the mechanicals. Look, you're at the end of the pier. Make sure you have enough flow on the water coming up. And make sure your wastewater
Yeah.
go out. You know, all
Things like
this,
that.
you know.
Where are you going to do it? Yeah.
How
Yeah.
did you manage that?
here's how we managed it. So we had started working on it, and of course there was no sewer out at the pier.
Yeah.
There was a holding tank.
Right.
So we climbed literally below the pier, and to our dismay, you could see light through the holding tank.
Yikes.
And so we called TC Tank Company in Anaheim and said, "Hey, come out and give us a bid on a new tank." And they said, "Sure." And the bill was the entire amount the city had given us to repair the building.
wow,
So it was not an option.
Plus, you probably had to contact somebody to come on pump.
Well, that's
on-
that's
with
what
a
we.
boat.
Well, that was after we fixed the tank.
Yeah.
And that we put his kids through college on the pumping fees, by the way. But anyway, so we bought our own tank. We plugged.
I like that.
We bought.
Did
our,
he thank you for it along the way?
No, not at all. But we bought our own tank. We dropped it on the beach, plugged all the holes, pushed it into the water. You know, Ralph was down below in his wetsuit.
Unbelievable.
We brought it under the pier. I was above with chain hoists, and we brought it up and mounted it up there. So we now had our tank for $10,000, not $80,000. So that was just kind of the magic, and I was so fortunate to have my dad working with us until the very end. He was just a brilliant, mechanical designer, and so he helped us design all this stuff.
And would that even fly today through the health department stuff? Could you
Well,
do that?
and then fast forward 5 years past that, we installed our own sewer line on the pier ourselves, all the way down to the end. So we were very, very hands-on and did
so you
whatever.
so I'm sure the ground floor was a bit elevated from your pier.
Everything was done underneath the pier, and we had to go on the cross members hand over hand. We left a life ring on the top in case we got stuck, but it was all rough.
You didn't go the easy way.
No, but it was the way to get it done. It was the way we were able to build a restaurant within budget.
How did you know? I'm sure you have to discuss that with the city, because a restaurant, even though it was a big restaurant, but it has 2 floors plus a kitchen, thing like that, and all the food supplies. Did the pier was stable enough?
It was stable
Did
enough.
it swing sometimes?
It was stable, and it would move. It would sway.
Yeah.
It would sway, but it was stable enough. And then I remember one time we lost a piling in the middle of the building that was flopping back and forth. They had to cut a hole in the floor and the ceiling, and they had to bring a new piling in from
Through the ceiling down
through
to
the ceiling, through the restaurant, and down below.
down into the ocean.
Oh, it was amazing.
So when did you know, hey, this is more than a one-off or a two-off? This is something we can do in a chain.
Yeah.
And how do you? It doesn't sound like you guys have any chain experience. So how do you grow it into a chain?
It's called learn as you go.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get now finance. You got to buy
Yeah.
in bigger quantities. You got to get real estate departments. They got to figure out where to put them.
Right. I think it was really the South Coast Plaza that kicked us through the goalposts, because everybody watches what Mr. Segerstrom does in the mall world. So all of a sudden, we were given offers to build mall restaurants
So 1982 was the opening of the first
Correct.
Ruby's at Newport Pier.
84 was Mission Viejo.
Mission Viejo. And
85 was Bubbles.
and all that Huntington Beach, did you have anything there?
Oh, we did, but that was a little later.
Yeah, and then you had a couple of troubles there too, but
No, that was
no.
that. See, that was we had two things going for us. We learned how to manage, and within a week we also opened Ruby's on the Seal Beach Pier, between the week of South Coast Plaza and that. And
wow.
so we
Crazy.
became known for pier operators. So we were given opportunities like the Malibu Pier. We did that.
Right. I remember that's where I remember Malibu.
Oceanside Pier. So because nobody really wanted them because they're a pain to operate because the deliveries and the mechanical and all that.
How do you how do you deliver? How do
Yeah.
you drive out to the
When
pier?
you opened the first Ruby's, did you have in mind to be a chain restaurant
No,
operator?
not at all. It was a hobby project. It was just for fun. It was just for fun. And
So when
figured,
did that goes to my question? When did you say, "Hey, this is more than fun. Look at the books here. We're getting
Yeah.
malls. We're getting other piers. This could be a
yeah,
chain."
it was after South Coast Plaza for sure. Yeah, that was a viable. Those were numbers that could make a reasonable bottom. And of course, keep in mind, back then, with the labor costs that they were, you could make money at those levels.
yeah.
Today, you could never make money
No,
at that
no.
because of what's going on in the.
Well, and the price of ingredients. But I also see, talking about food, you haven't changed much the menu since, but you make some additional dishes, like,
But the menu actually got pretty bloated. That's what happens, as you know, Pascal. You just say, well, if this is good, one more will be better.
Yeah.
We ended up having to take stock and reduce the menu pretty
Yeah.
considerably.
And that was always the problem with the diner or the
Yeah.
coffee shop menus in general.
Well-
They became all chains. They became big, huge,
but also
bloated.
you have your standards, So some people say, oh, I just want my chili fries,
Right.
I just want my my cheeseburger. Actually, one of my favorite burger there was a super burger.
Yes.
I love it.
Grilled Parmesan cheese,
Parmesan
avocado.
cheese, the buns.
Pascal, you never went in your life went down to an American
No,
diner
I
at a
used to-
pier and had a burger.
I used to.
Tell the truth.
Yeah, I have kids.
Oh, there you go.
And-
Kids like
That's right.
burgers.
So it was a great place to go with kids.
Yeah,
And
makes
so
sense. You sold me.
Because kids find something they like for sure.
Yeah.
Can I tell you the other side of that though? Because I'm one of those, like many guys my age. I'm probably a big kid still. I look dressed like it. I want to be like it. I want to feel like I'm a kid. So when I would take kids or grandkids or other people to one of these places, I get to for a moment have the burger and the milkshake, and my wife doesn't say, "Paul, Paul, no,
Yeah.
come on,"
It's part of the experience.
part of the experience.
Yeah, but also being French and coming there is a whole American experience.
It's ultra American
Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
Yes.
And we really tried to innovate on the food. We were. This is kind of like saying I invented Post-it notes, but we were the first to have a turkey burger, and people would actually say when you had a turkey burger, now is that sliced turkey or is that a patty? And so because nobody had a turkey
Yeah.
burger,
We had somebody years ago with Avery labels. Avery invented labels that you put
Right.
on things. And these other ones that say, "Hi, my name is Bob," or something.
Right.
They came up with that concept. And in the beginning, they couldn't explain it to people. Why would somebody stick something on their shirt?
Yeah.
Because every networking thing, every party you go to, don't you want to
That's right.
put something up? But that was so revolutionary when they came up
And
with
also you have, and you still, I'm sure, have, will go back to the consistency of your food, great chowders.
that was my dad's recipe. He used to make clam chowder for
Oh,
Christmas
I
gifts,
love clam chowder.
and that recipe is still at the Beachcomber today.
Yeah.
So if you go to the Beachcomber, you'll still
We're
get
going
my
to
dad's.
talk about the
Yeah.
Bishcomber
But
and the Czech Shack.
my greatest compliment on the Ruby's turkey burger was I got a call from a gal from Disney, and she goes, "Mr. Cavanaugh, Mr. Eisner is very fond of your turkey
No
burger.
way.
Oh, wow.
It says,
Wow.
would you give us your supplier? And that would have been fine, but the following was, well, if you don't tell us, we're going to find out anyway.
Oh, come on.
Man.
That
But I
insult.
gave it to her and said, hey, knock yourself out. I'm not sure if they ever used it, but yeah, we were the first. Simplot hired us to test this thing called a skinny fry, and they coated the fry with pectin, so it only absorbed half as much oil, and they were a hit because they were half the calories and people loved them. But eventually, the process, nobody would buy them because they were more expensive, so
No.
that fell off. But somebody should look at that today because
Yeah, now they use mostly cornstarch. Something
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
But pectin, yes.
So is there a time again for the great American cuisine? Because Pascal and I talk about all the time. They look at the concepts that fancy restaurants, meatloaf, comfort
Sure.
food, back to basics,
Pies, meat
pies
Yeah.
and stuff here.
I
All
don't
the stuff
think-
that you didn't see for a long time.
meatball, yeah.
yeah, it may fade a little bit in and out, but eventually it always comes back because
You're
it's
right,
just so
yeah.
good.
And also the music come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little bit of rock and roll because you had a lot on the music side, a little bit of competition when the restaurants called the Studio open up on the weekend there at the pier.
I'm trying to
No, it's
remember.
called the Studio.
The Studio Cafe
Yeah,
on the base of the pier?
yeah,
Yeah, that was all jazz.
yeah, it was all jazz.
That was all
And then
jazz.
there was also, I heard a story about there was a dancing club close by
The,
and
well,
a ballroom.
huh.
No? A
That
ballroom
one- that one got
close to
past
the
me.
pier.
Yeah.
Okay.
What-
Oh, I'm sorry. That was the Rendezvous Ballroom.
Rendezvous.
And
Yeah.
my parents would dance at the Rendezvous Ballroom in the
Oh, yeah.
1940s.
All right.
So that was
I
kind
can
of-
see the
and that was
the
one of the
music and them dancing.
Historical elements that I wanted to, kind of
So
bring
why
back.
did Orange County become a hotbed for what we call it is fast food, fast casual, fun dining? I think of other chains that have been spawned here. Johnny Rockets, sort of similar what you guys did there.
More than similar.
Well, I was
Yeah,
trying to
we
be
won't
nice.
go
here.
there.
Coco,
I was trying to be nice.
Coco's American Under.
Yeah.
Taco Bell,
El Torito.
the one that Steel Platt built. The,
Oh, yeah. Yard House. He just celebrated 30th anniversary. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
All these spawned out of Orange County.
Yeah.
Why? Why is Orange County?
First of all, it's probably one of the best places to live.
Well,
so
yeah,
I
you
have
have
no
all
doubt
these
there.
people, and then there's a lot of great food out here. We have such great Mexican cuisine. We have such great seafood. We have all those elements. So I think it just kind of attracts people like Pascal,
Yeah, right.
who does great.
I
food.
asked him why he came here. Why he didn't go up to L.A. or something? Why he came here?
Oh, because, yeah, but it's a
long
different
story.
story, yeah.
But there weren't many people. Orange County wasn't. Go back to the days when you do this. Most people didn't think of dining in Orange County. It was
No.
dull. It was
Yeah.
basic. It was boring,
Orange been more family oriented than Los
Yeah.
Angeles.
and
I
that
guess.
meant crappy food.
no,
quick food.
meant more affordable also.
Yeah.
Very important.
But back in the 60s, I remember my parents would drive out to go to the stuffed shirt.
Oh, the
Which is-
stuffed T-shirt.
No,
The
it's
stuffed
the
shirt. Oh,
stuffed shirt,
you
the
buy-
big one. That's
Oh.
right on the water. And it's now a dress shop. Beautiful
Oh.
white building. And they'd go to the La Cave.
On a
which
car,
is
yeah,
still there.
Still there.
Yeah, and then that was a hotbed on kind of Miracle Mile where you had the number 2 Chart House,
Yeah,
Ancient
House,
Mariner.
right?
Yeah.
You
and
had
Costa
all
Way,
that. That
yeah,
was
yeah.
kind of a rich pocket right
Yeah.
Was that kind of 5 Crowns era? Too, or
there. Oh,
something?
5 Crowns was 63, I think.
Yeah.
65. Boy, talk about an institution there.
Yeah, exactly. But a handful existed. Mostly people ate the kind of food I grew up in suburban Midwest, boring, dull, basic, not anything that you
Yeah.
rave about or talk about. And what you're talking about here is somehow you took diner food and made it not only cool and fun again, but you made it good.
We tried. We really focused on each and every element of
I
what
have,
they were
I have
getting.
to say, you, that was your vision. Make sure the food is great fresh tomato, crispy lettuce, and like you say, good cheese and everything in good proportion.
Yeah.
But at one point, you decide because you didn't have big kitchens.
No.
So you had to outsource whatever you use the most.
Right.
Outsource dressing, you share your recipe for the chowder and things like that. And you work with Village Green.
Yeah. Hal Rosoff.
I also,
Right.
he was a very good friend of ours too.
Yeah,
for
great
the
guy.
change
And who
of
was
the
Village Green? I don't know who that is.
they do production for wholesale for to produce their signature liquid item, soup, dressing, and things like
And
that.
they were the only people we would trust making a product for us.
Yeah, and
Because
still-
they would make sure it was exactly as we
and
wanted
they
it.
still do.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Jenny's still there.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. It's right there in Irvine.
Yeah.
I
Unbelievable.
never even heard of it. That's a secret you just
Yeah.
revealed here. I didn't
Yes,
know.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's that it's kind of
Well,
a
you can't make everything.
it's a
You can, I suppose, but you don't want to.
Yeah, it is. Now people have a corporate kitchen. But, why do you want a corporate kitchen when you have to pay more staff? When you can have a...
Well, you've argued against it because you say too much now is pre-portioned, pre-cut, pre-made, pre-packaged, and they do it in the name of
Yeah.
efficiency, but not necessarily saving costs, or
Yeah.
they make it predictable and efficient, but
but-
doesn't necessarily keep the cost
But a
down.
company like Village Green, they know your recipe, they're going to be consistent, and, if they change the prices, you make sure they stay stable.
So I got to move the show along because he had a life apparently after you've sold rubies.
Sold rubies
Yeah.
in 2020.
And it got up to how many? 30, 40 units?
43, I think, was our total.
what's-
Eight states.
8 states. Okay.
And just real quickly, what also advanced us was airport locations. We got LAX, which was a barn burner. Then we got Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Then we got Orange County. And then we got Houston. And those were massive sales. That
Wow.
was a big boon to the franchise world. So
Specialty places
So-
nobody did. Piers, airports, things like that.
So these out of Orange County places were franchise.
yes, everything outside of California was franchise. We had we were partners with Host on airports.
Okay.
And this is a little known fact. There was a 40-foot Ruby Girl on Times Square when they had a restaurant there in a collection. They had 4 restaurants in one group, and then there was a Ruby Girl. It lasted about 3 years because nobody wanted to take the escalator up.
Okay,
But there she
okay.
was. She was on
fantastic.
Times Square.
and,
That's
and
great.
not to go down another rabbit hole for too long, but so many airports now. We had Charlene Reynolds in here, director of the Orange County Airport, John Wayne Airport. They're trying to make food better and more fun,
Oh,
even
yeah.
to the point of bringing people in from the outside again.
And they very implement on local businesses
Yes.
to help the local businesses.
You can actually get a day pass to go in to somebody like
Yeah,
the.
you can.
so you
We
can go
got-
past security and you can
Yeah.
actually eat the food there.
Yeah. It's like you direct.
All right. So after you sell, you sell out.
So yeah, that's what.
Prior to that, in 2006, I opened the
Yeah.
Beachcomber on
The
Crystal.
Beachcomber in Crystal Cove,
Right. And then above that, the Shake Shack.
check that.
Right.
Who is an iconic.
Very
place too.
iconic. I had no idea you were connected with that.
There's
Now-
a
Yeah.
line of cars on weekends there.
Yeah.
And the Beachcomber, does that have anything to do with the original, like the Don the Beachcomber
No,
idea?
it
This
didn't.
is different.
No,
okay.
that was just we borrowed the name, and luckily we were able to keep it. And that has been just a true joy because I've been able to expand
Yeah.
my food horizons. I'm not locked in
You remember the movie The Beach?
Yeah.
beaches.
Yeah,
Beaches
beaches right
with,
there. Right
Yeah. No, we have of course the facility,
That was with Bed Midler, I think.
Yeah.
Beaches, right.
and then we have also have 4 catering venues down there, and of course the Shake Shacks.
The Shake Shack
just a
is,
little engine that could.
I had no idea you were connected because that is like, that just another iconic thing. How do you hit the nerve? I thought Ruby's was iconic enough. Now you said the Shake Shack. That's really Orange County. That's
Yeah,
really
it's-
Well,
hardcore.
I mean,
it's Coast Highway.
yeah.
It fits.
That's my office in the morning. I said, that's right. Do my paperwork.
Yeah.
And it's just great because it's such a fun place for people from out of town to experience the quintessential California
That is.
vibe,
Overlooking the ocean.
overlooking the ocean. You know,
Yeah.
they're getting a very value
The
price
morning,
meal.
morning breeze.
Exactly.
And
It's just beautiful.
It's been, I admit, I'm sorry to say, it's been a while since I've been to the Shake Shack. I know of it. I know I've been there.
Shake Shack, I don't know the menu of Shake Shack.
I don't either. That's what I was getting at.
It's basically burgers, fries, and shakes, but we do
Okay.
breakfast as well.
Oh, wow.
So you can get great cinnamon roll French toast, and talk about a tiny kitchen.
Yeah,
That's your
yeah.
tiny kitchen.
Oh,
right
it's got to
there.
be because it's everything in Crystal. It's in Crystal Cove, right?
So,
Yeah.
what's your... Are you working on some projects?
I am. And I forgot to mention the lighthouse on Newport Harbor is ours as well. We opened
Okay.
that 10 years ago, and that's been a very fun project as well.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
got-
Oh, I like the lighthouse. It's a beautiful little place. If you don't walk around there, it's at the tip of a like isthmus, almost an
I
isthmus.
know of it. I don't know that I've
Newport
ever been
Harbor.
there. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Beautiful place. I wanted to take over to make an oyster bar there because it would have been
Yeah.
a fantastic
Oh,
place. Yeah.
okay. Oyster bar.
That's been a great spot. So I'm a big fan of state parks projects because, of course, the Beachcomber and Shake Shack are in state parks, and the
I got to stop you for 1 second
Sure.
because I would think most people would run from those kinds of concessions.
They-
Limited audience, hard bureaucrats to deal with, state agencies, all that. I can't imagine people are lining up to take over
It's-
state concessions.
it's all of that. It's all of those things, but that keeps a lot of people out of the fray.
Yeah, right. I would think
Right,
so.
because once you've been through it and you
So you
learn
mean
how to
state concession? They mean in parks and
and parks, yeah.
Yeah, because
But you know-
they own the. You're dealing with a state agency that just
yeah, but
they don't understand food or.
there's so much potential because
But-
the tourism they want to have an American.
But there's a
experience.
limited audience you can get in and get out like Crystal
But
Cove and stuff.
Once, but that was initially when we were starting to work on the Beachcomber because, as you know, the parking lot is on the inland side of Coast
Yeah,
Highway,
right.
and it's quite a walk, under the tunnel to get down there, or you can take our shuttle bus.
Yeah.
And when I brought it up to a couple of potential partners, they said nobody will ever take a shuttle bus.
I'm
from there.
with them. Yeah.
And it's become part of the
Yeah,
adventure.
of course.
We've got these guys who are bus drivers who are almost comedians that entertain people.
It's like Disney, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's part of the deal, and they arrive at the bottom, and boom, there they are. They get the ocean.
And
So
on the right you have this,
yeah,
on the left you have that.
it's
If
all
you go
worked out.
straight, you get wet.
Yeah.
But the few people I've ever met who dealt with state agencies don't find them to be easy.
Well, you know
and they
what?
can be unpredictable,
Yeah.
and they can suddenly the lease is gone or jacks
Yeah.
up or something.
The only way it works is if you make them a lot of money, and we do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they're
All right.
happy with that.
Then they leave you alone.
They leave you alone. Yeah. No, I got to say, they have a duty to preserve the park as a park.
And those are concessions for a long time lease, no?
Yeah. Ends on my 100th birthday.
Oh my goodness! I was
So,
afraid to ask how long a lease they
I
give you.
probably won't be there, but hopefully my kids will be there.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
No, and it's a.
That would be the good side, because if they trust you and like you, and you said that it's doing well, then there's no incentive to change. They're not necessarily trying to just maximize. Well, it's get a competitor and make 10% more or something.
Right.
Here.
Exactly.
Yeah, those are land lease and not
And then
business lease.
it's like it is such a unique property. It is very difficult to manage. There are so many elements of what you have to deal with.
How do you
down
get the food and everything in there?
When is that time you went there to see those villas? there?
It's been a while,
They've
but
been refurbished, and now you can rent them.
I got to
Yeah.
go back.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll let me
There's
come
a-
back in again.
There's a waiting list to get housed.
It's always a waiting list to
Yeah.
get in
So
there.
speaking of deliveries, so when I go down early in the morning, there's probably 3 full-size delivery trucks delivering product there because they have to get out pretty early. So
Yeah.
in the morning, it's a jam session with all the delivery
And
trucks.
can they drive right up to it, or do they have to?
They can drive to the delivery. We have a catering kitchen that's very close to the parking. So we could never produce the kind of food we do in the 10-foot line that we've got. So
you have a 10-foot line.
a
That's
10-foot line, yeah, and it basically is serviced by the catering kitchen where everything is prepped, then brought in to finish.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's the only way we could do it.
Now, what do you think? I've seen more concessions popping up in places like Huntington Beach and stuff, where there's a couple of
Right.
couple of, I'm trying to think of the name of it, something by the
Sea legs.
Sea Legs,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's done a great job. She really took something and made it pretty great. I mean,
Yeah.
I have to hand it to her what she did.
So did we finalize about my question? What's next?
Ah, more. I'm looking for
next.
more.
He's got to do more.
Yeah,
Isn't
you know,
enough?
but I'm getting close to that. I just turned 70, so I'm just, my wife's saying, hey, you know what? Let's travel. Let's. But once you get the restaurant business in your blood, it's not coming out.
No.
It's just, I love what I do. I mean, this is going to sound corny, but I get up and in the shower, I'm thinking about French fries. I'm thinking about
really?
I
Oh
am.
my goodness!
I'm always thinking about how can I make it. I'm a big fan of Walt Disney, and I've read everything about him, and huge fan of Disneyland. And whenever he would achieve something, like when they opened the Pirates of the Caribbean, he met with all the Imagineers and said, "Okay, now how are we going to make it better?" And that's what I love to do. How can we make things just a little bit better every
And
day?
everything they make is made to last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I
do
think-
you have like Walt, a little secret spot that you live in or hang out in?
I've been a Disney fan since the very early days and continually. So are my kids. So we go back quite a bit. I learned so much just from walking through the streets.
And he would, I don't know this is only anecdotal, but they say he would walk the park. He had certainly an apartment on the park.
Tuesday nights,
Yeah.
he'd walk the park. That was his night to walk.
And so
Yeah.
he didn't just experience it when he built it and then turn it over and be removed
No.
from it. He stayed connected to it and on a street level, talking to people, watching
Yeah.
people.
And there were so many little things that, he did. For example, if you go by the bakery on Main Street, you'll notice vents that are on the bottom.
Yeah.
He tapped the smell off
smell
of the
from
hoods.
Oh, you're kidding.
and
How
pushed
brilliant.
Pushed it out the bottom.
How brilliant.
Just
They
stuff,
get you in.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So is that a lost art? Pascal talked about getting out, being one of the early chefs to come out of the kitchen and walk the floor and greet the guests. That's certainly what I picture all the 70s and 80s great chefs doing. That didn't happen in the 60s or 50s or whatever. They stayed back in the kitchen or something. You didn't see that?
What's really interesting is celebrity chefs were kind of a new thing. They weren't,
Right.
like you said, they were in the back. And then gradually with the Food Network and that evolution, everybody kind of became a star.
Right.
And so they became more prominent. And you look at, obviously a lot of TV shows. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my latest, I didn't tell you about this one. So we bought a ranch up in Santa Ynez and I got bored a little bit. So I found my favorite chef who had a beautiful restaurant there called The Gathering Table. Big fans. And sadly, he got a divorce and had to sell. And I approached him. I said, hey, what if you and I recreate The Gathering Table? So we found a beautiful building in downtown Solvang and brought in his amazing food, brought in a great designer. And now it's there and just phenomenal food. I'm bragging on him as I have nothing to do with the food. I might make a minor suggestion, but he's the chef.
And tell me about
It's-
solving, because I only think of the novelty aspect. You go up for the, whatever it is, the Danish.
Right.
But not anymore.
Yeah.
You can't even get a split
Yeah,
pea soup.
there's 3 Michelin star restaurants
In Solvang.
in the
Okay.
valley.
Yeah.
Right
so
now.
long
And-
since
Be-
I've been.
because it became more and more fine wine country.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Because for a long time it was just the novelty went up and it's all decorated like
You're
Denmark
exact-
or something.
Yeah, but now you've got amazing wines. The world of Pinot from the Santa Rita Hills. You've got amazing cabs coming out of Happy Canyon, and then these restaurants,
Some good lodging.
great
just
and
small
beautiful. Yeah,
boutique
Pinot
hotel.
Bears just opened up. Maddie's Tavern up there. It's just really beautiful.
I got to look at solving again. I had been
Yeah.
off my radar for too long.
No, it's great.
Well, you seem to find these things off the radar. The Pier, the Crystal Cove, solving. These aren't places where the public immediately says, "Oh, that's where we got to build something."
Yeah, I like oddballs.
I guess that's why you like Chef Pascal. Right? No, I had to say that.
He's my hero.
Thank you.
Well, does all of this? What would you tell people in his classes today? Is there still room for the dreamer? Is there still room for the off the beaten path places?
Absolutely. I wouldn't slow down one bit. I'd go for it. I'm telling you why, because far more people appreciate great food than before. And people will beat a path to a restaurant that's got great, original, interesting food.
And we
I
have
think that's
something in
true.
common.
Yeah.
We want to make people happy.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're happy,
The Disneyland
you go in-
philosophy.
yeah, you go in a dining room, people smile, and people, kids are not screaming because they're happy.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Right.
having a great time.
And the restaurant success is a three-legged table. And you got to have 3 out of 3. You got to have the food, you got to have the service, and you've got to have the environment.
You have great service.
And if
too.
you're missing one, you're not going to hit it out of the park. You got to have
So
all
many
3.
of those concepts are big on the environment, big on how it looks.
Right.
The rainforest cafes or something come to
Right.
mind. And I don't know that the food was that great. I'm not trying to beat them up, but
No,
but
but that they survived on a different clientele.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
where you
they're
take
in a
your,
mall. They're
you
in an
take
experience.
your
yeah.
kids, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it was more of a show.
A show.
Right. It was
That's what I'm
like Chuck
saying.
E. Cheese.
Yeah, yeah.
Chuck E.
Yeah,
Cheese. So,
exactly, yeah.
so many concepts are big on the show, on big on the
Yeah.
atmosphere, and then the
Right.
food is an also ran.
No, this
Yeah.
is real. This is,
Yeah.
you know what you're going to get, and you come back for it.
Yeah.
And
And there will always be room for, concepts like that. But
Right.
talking about Steel Platte and the
He was in one years ago.
Yard
Fascinating
House.
story. Yeah.
I got to tell you, his chef, can't remember his name, great guy. They had great beer, great environment, and great food.
They did.
They
Yeah.
really had good food. So that's what knocked him through the. So when I say about three-legged table, if you want to get serious about a restaurant and don't just want to have some kind of a passing, fancy,
Fad, right, yeah.
then I think if you can get those 3 things.
And how do you get in a corporatized environment good service? Because you were walking the floor. Pascal's walking the floor. You're adjusting the tables. You're seeing the little stuff. Too many of these corporate things, nobody's
well,
watching.
you have to make sure your staff is happy first.
Well, there you go. And I
And-
don't know if that's easy these days
Yeah,
either.
and the lines cross when you start making money, because then you can be more selective about your staff.
Mm-hmm.
If your staff's making $800 a night, they're happy.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere.
Right.
And you can pick and choose. But if you don't cross that line and they're making a couple $100, they're not real happy. So you gotta work on how you get to that trajectory as fast as possible.
But when we had Steel Platte in here, he was talking about taking it from one to many, and that's a big jump. It was hard
Yeah.
enough to get one.
Yeah.
And that was the place nobody wanted to touch. It was down by the Shoreline Park and kind of, again, a touristy kind of thing or
Right.
something here. And he'd been in the restaurant business and had hits and misses and other
Right.
things here. And he's got his buddies, his friends, he's got his whole life savings wrapped up in this thing here. When you start to do 2, 3, 4, it doesn't run the same way. You never had 2, 3, 4 Pascals. You had other little cases, but there
Yeah.
wasn't. It's hard to keep that kind of
Yeah.
chef-driven cuisine, that kind of
Yeah,
specialty.
because it's different. Was an operator, but was hands-on in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So
And-
you
and
cannot be hands-on in the kitchen.
I am
with
always
three kids.
amazed when people can
three
do that,
kitchens, yeah.
can grow and keep it, still feel fun,
Yeah.
can still feel good and fresh,
Right.
and can still have all those elements that you talked about, the atmosphere and the service and the food,
Yeah.
and the owner's not there.
And the guys who were killing it, there's Hillstone. You got, R&D Cafe. You've got Gulfstream. They got it. They got the code cracked.
We should get them in here sometime. I'd love to talk
No,
about
they're
that.
they're the other not a newcomer, but newer. Nick's. He does
Yeah.
south of Nick's. He does Nick's.
Yeah.
And the new one on 17th Street there is really well done.
Yeah.
Just a great operator.
Yeah.
But
And,
there's something I don't know what the secret sauce, if you could teach that at your school if they try. How do you teach that sort of consistency? I know you got to get it down to a formula, and I know it's got to be predictable, and you got to have it, but then you got to somehow not just train people to do it, but
Okay. You don't even have to ask Doug. See the way he talk? He still has the passion.
clearly.
And been 45 years
Yeah.
into that business, you still have the same passion to make sure things are done right.
And
And
the-
you think about fries in your shower. I love
That's
that.
kind of odd.
Maybe that's the key.
But I tell you, the key is it's all about finding people who have servant hearts.
Yeah.
If you don't have a servant heart,
Wow, I never heard that
It's-
expression used
it's-
in this hospitality.
yeah, it's going to be hard. Again, there's the mercenaries and there's the servant hearts. You can do them both. The mercenaries can work, but you got to have a sufficient number of servant hearts in your organization, because that's hospitality.
Yeah.
And if you're missing hospitality, in some of the, let's say the concepts that are aimed at the younger generation, hospitality may not be as important because they're not looking for the friendly. They're looking for the edgy.
Yeah.
And that can work too for a certain clientele. Not my cup
But
of
just
tea.
for a while.
You
Not
know
my-
who was on the fast food? That was the creator and the founder of Carl Jr.
Oh, Carl.
Carl was amazing. He was like you.
I think he had I never met him, but he seemed to have the same kind of passion,
So
people say.
I've got a quick story about Carl. So Carl, I
What was his last name? I forgot.
Karcher.
Karcher.
Yeah.
Karcher.
So I cold call Carl, and I said,
Oh,
Carl,
wow.
I said, I'm building a restaurant chain. I really admire what you did. I saw how it started in Anaheim at a hot dog stand and all that. He said, well, come on over. So we go to his office, which his office is probably 1,000 square feet. And I was just going,
Yeah,
oh my
right.
gosh. He sat with me for 2 hours.
Wow.
And we became friends. And he was so helpful and just the nicest guy. And his brother, Don, was in the California Restaurant Association, and we were on the board together. So I got to know Don. And this is a funny story about Don. So Don's, if you may remember that Carl's Jr., they used to make a French fry that was extruded potato.
Yeah.
They pushed it through. It was
didn't
like
know that.
Play-Doh.
Okay, right.
Like Play-Doh. And then they would drop it. And I think the majority of people thought they were terrible. Now, how they ever got to that point, they were probably a lot cheaper to do it that way. So when I'd meet Don at our restaurant, I'll remember he tasted our Simplot classic French fry. And he goes, where do you get these? They switched to Simplot
Oh, no way.
6 months later. I didn't even get a piece of that.
No recognition.
No recognition.
No stock in the company
Nothing.
here.
I got nothing.
Well,
Yeah,
but
they-
you're doing it from a servant heart.
That's right.
After that, I did the cross fries too.
Yeah.
So
Fries are critical in our business. That's for
Did
sure.
you have? You must have had. What do they call them in France? Bon
frites?
Bon
I'm
frites.
afraid.
Yeah.
But to come back to Mr. Carl Kircher, when he used to come to see me at Chanticleer,
You knew this guy too. He
yeah,
would come see
he
you.
came in the kitchen, say, "Oh, Pascal, how are you doing?" He liked fine food, and he always say, "Here's my card. This is for a free burger."
And he also,
Oh, my goodness.
He
I
also
had a
gave
collection
Right.
of these
You have a
cards.
collection of Carl Karcher's
Yeah.
cards.
And
Oh,
then he
you got to
also-
bring that in.
he also gave you a St. Francis of Assisi
Oh,
card.
Yeah,
He was
that's
very,
cool.
he was very French
He was-
Catholic.
He was
yeah.
very Catholic.
Yeah.
He had a son who was a priest.
You
Father.
should do
that I
that.
didn't know.
Maybe
Oh, I used to.
Yeah.
And I always say, I stole this from Carl.
Well, on that, we'll end this thing here. How do they? You don't need any plug, but how do they find you or connect with you if somebody wants to have a question? Or
Oh, gosh.
mentor or talk to you? Are you available to anybody? Is there a way to get through to you?
I was so blessed to have people that were so generous with their time. I always am happy to help anybody because it's a tough business.
Real
And
tougher
so-
than ever, I think.
Yeah. And I'll give you my email address. Feel free to
Oh
reach
my
out.
goodness! Wow.
It's rubyman, for Newport Beach, @gmail.com.
There you go. Well, that was worth listening to the whole show just to get that right there. We'll see how many people
Wonderful.
take advantage of that and do it. Thank you so much for
Hey,
joining
my
us.
Thank you,
absolute
Joe. Thank you
pleasure.
very much.
All right, Pascal, you did it. You proved it. You
He
are-
did it.
Thanks for joining us here.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
That's- Well, there you go. That was one to listen to over and over again. Ruby's and all the other, and how about the places at Crystal Cove here, the Shake Shack and other places here. Now you know something about them. We've learned what goes on behind the kitchen doors, right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.